Hello out there in video land. My name is Paul K. Lemire. This is Absolutely coming to you live from the studios of 4680Q Radio in downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. I'm here with my co-host,
Jean-Louis Fillon. Bonjour, mes amis.
Oh, yeah, we got
Ça
good
va
sound.
bien?
Yeah, we got good sound levels now,
Est-ce que tu
John.
bien dormi, ce soir?
Ah, oui. No, I had an upset stomach from the game last night.
I can imagine.
And, you guys, if you look over here, see, I got a broom. And I'm not going to hit John with it. It's not his fault.
It's the witching hour. I know.
Right? Although it is Halloween, but I'm going to sweep that game out of my mind.
Welcome to my nightmare.
Yeah, before I have a heart attack, I'm going to sweep that game right out of my mind. That's why I got the broom here.
A sure heart attack.
And, oh, brother. Yeah, does it get any... Well, you know what? It's been a dismal week for the Habs, John.
Really?
And I'm beside myself.
I was feeling pretty good until last night.
Yeah, well, there's Philadelphia. We had that breakdown at the end, and it's just these little things that nag at you. We're still not there. There's still gaps in our
8-2. That's not a little thing.
But I will say this about that game in Philly, right? 1 year ago today, or a year ago any day, we would have lost that game. I really believe we would have lost that game, that they would have scored the goal when they pulled their goalie. We would have went into overtime and lost it because we did that last year. We lost those games like that. This time we held on and won in regulation time. That's a big deal to me.
So it's a good switch. We're going to lose. We're going to win some of those one-goal games, but we're going to get blown out every week.
Well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that because that does happen. These things do happen, and we have to keep them from happening because we're losing too many getting blown out too many times. We'll talk about that too. But all in all, it was a meatloaf week.
Well, we said it was going to be 2 out of 3.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. You had all 3 winning, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you had all 3. I had St. Louis beating us, and then us winning against Seattle and Philly. You had all 3 wins, but I got the 2 out of 3. I just didn't pick the right 2. That's all. But I didn't expect us to lose against Seattle. I'll tell you that right now. I never even suspected it. But after 5-0, I figured it's a mercy rule. Send all the boys home. Let them rest, and we'll see you on Thursday night.
Exactly.
I mean, it was just a terrible performance. And, there's some good points, a few good points. And we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that game.
But not many. Let's do it. So I wanted to be 500 for the first 20 games, and I don't know, man.
Where are we now? Are we close?
Well, we're a game behind.
I mean, I looked in the standings the other day, and
we're 4-5-1.
We were tied with 4 teams for 3rd place.
Yeah, we're 4-5-1 now. I mean, the only team worse than us is Boston. They're in last. They got shut out again last night. So, but I'm calling it the Sad 7. We got the Sad 7 coming up, and we'll talk about that too. But let's get to our regular.
Absolutely, let's hear Habs trivia.
Okay, this is a neat one. It's kind of an interesting one, and we'll have John. You're gonna be able to figure this one out, I think.
Okay.
So last night's embarrassment. That was bad. Last night's embarrassment, right?
Horrible.
We don't want to see 7 goals or 5 goals in the first period, but allowing 5 goals in the first period is not good. Let's face it. But
allowing 5 goals in a game isn't good.
But if it makes anyone feel better, it wasn't the worst first period Habs have ever had.
Wow, that's hard to believe.
It is. 3 times in Habs history, they allowed 7 goals in the first period.
That's remarkable.
That is. 1938 was 1 year.
Okay.
1985 was another year.
Wow.
And 2023, last year, was another year that we allowed 7 in the first period.
MSL, he's setting records.
Okay, so 1985. Let's go back to 1985. Who lit them up for 7 goals in the first period in 1985? And I'll give you 4 teams.
Okay.
Quebec Nordique.
Okay.
Toronto Maple Leafs.
No, that couldn't happen.
Edmonton Oilers
That could happen.
and Hartford Whalers.
I'll have to go with the Oilers.
Okay, well, the correct answer. What do you guys think out there before I give the answer? Who would you pick? I mean, yeah, it's funny. I'm asking the guys in the video who they picked, but they're going to see the video. Well, they're going to see the video.
Well, they can pick themselves now.
You can pick your nose. Okay, it was, believe it or not, the Hartford Whalers.
Wow.
I know. It blew my mind, too.
Crazy.
The Hartford Whalers, were they ever any good? Well, that game they were.
Not that I recall.
So we faced off against the Whalers on October 19th, 1985, and proceeded to let the Whalers roll over us with a 7-goal first period. You're gonna probably know these names.
October's definitely not our year or our month.
October surprise.
You know,
Kevin Dineen,
right?
Dave Tippett, Ron Francis had a hat trick.
Ron Francis,
Sylvain Turgeon, and they all three of them, all four of those guys, lit up Patrick Waugh.
Wow.
He was eventually pulled in the second period in favor of reliever Steve Penny, by the way.
Steve Penny. And
he got lit up for the other five or the other four no, he got pulled out when it was six goals, and they ended up winning 11-6. He got pulled out after the 6.
11-6.
And let 5 more goals in.
Last night was 8-2, right?
Yeah, 8-2. Stéphane Richer and Sergio Momesso replied in the first, with Richer adding another one in the second, and Shell Darlene, remember him?
Vaguely.
Yeah, Shell Darlene adding 2 more. So we did manage to get 6 goals, and we got one late in the third from Brian Scrudlin.
Wow.
Yeah, to round out the scoring for the Habs in the 11-6 beatdown at the Hartford Arena.
Thank God it wasn't at home.
God, I'm glad I forgot about that one.
Unbelievable.
As bad as this was, Habs went on to win the Stanley Cup that year with rookie goaltending sensation Patrick Waugh heroically leading the team in a surprising playoff run by defeating the Calgary Flames to capture the cup.
Lanny McDonald, eat your heart out.
So there's still hope for our Habs, everybody, even though we got blown out last night.
You mean to say that if we get blown out, we can win the Stanley Cup?
Well, I'm thinking maybe not this year.
Maybe not.
But, it always gives you hope. Even if you get blown out one game, you got to take the broom, you got to sweep it away, forget about it, and so do the players and coaches, and just move on to the next game and say, what the hell?
One game is one game.
Yeah, I mean, I just was done by the first period.
Well, I mean, I was done by the third goal.
Yeah, I mean, really. And I was really sad. Let's talk about that game for a minute, even though we're going to jump ahead of the other games. We'll talk about the other games. But, I mean, the game was a mercy rule in the first period. That's what I said. Mercy rule. Send them home, give them some rest, and bring them back. But I don't know why Marty didn't pull the goalie after 3. I mean, I know they were deflections in that.
First goal, deflection. Second goal, deflection.
But still,
third goal, power play.
But still, there's nights when, even though, okay, it's not his fault. You can say it's not his fault. But it's just not a good night for that goalie. He's just not having a good night. Now, what'd he do after what? They pulled him after what, 4 or 5?
After 5.
Yeah. And so what did he do? He goes down the hallway, breaks his stick, smashes his stick on everything. I mean, you pull him after 3. He might not have been happy, but
he might still have a stick.
He might still have a stick.
It's
or pull him between periods at the most. Don't let him come out and make him look bad.
If you're going to pull your goalie, I mean, there's a number of reasons you're doing it. One is the team is not supporting the goaltender. Okay? That's, and therefore you're saying to your team, listen, this is not fair to your fellow player who's in net. You are not playing well in front of him. So I'm taking him out because he doesn't deserve this type of treatment by us. And I'm going to put another goalie in. And I'm also saying to you, I'm not very happy. I'm not satisfied with your performance as a team. Like, straighten out. I can't scream at each of you individually. So I'm going to scream at you by taking the goalie out.
Yeah, and look at it. You saying, hey, what do you expect? This is what you get if you guys are a bunch of chumps.
If you're going to play poorly, I'm not playing our best goalie, basically.
I'm not playing our starter.
And off we go there. You got to read a goalie as well. And I really thought after the third goal that he looked a lot like he did the last time he got shellacked. And he is a bit vulnerable right now. I mean, he played on last Thursday, I guess, or was it what day did he got shellacked?
Saturday he played,
and then he played Saturday.
Sunday.
He played okay. Primo played Sunday, but Saturday was his best effort over the last probably week and a half. So he's still vulnerable. So I think I would have, after 3 goals, just said, we have a chance still to win a game,
right,
at 3-0. If we're ever going to, make a chance, let's switch them up now, and let's basically send that message now to the team that, hey, straighten up.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. I mean, I think that Marty's got to be a little bit more aggressive about this, because, this is like the Glee Club Montreal. They're like a Glee Club. Let's this thing all sit around the bench and sing Goobaya. Nobody's responsible for anything, and don't worry about it. It's got to end. He's got to get tougher on these guys. I don't care if he's got to sit people out, send them down. I mean, these guys skate around. Anderson, Dvorak, like there's nothing. I mean, 8 players in that game never had a hit. I was listening to Tony Marinaro. 8 players never even had a hit.
But that also speaks to the game we play.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that doesn't just come from the players. That also comes from coaching strategy.
Yeah, and speaking of coaching strategy, I just wonder what Marty St. Louis is actually doing, because he doesn't have experience. We know that. He's not an experienced coach. This is his 3rd season, I think, coaching the Habs, right? 2.5 years maybe he came in halfway through the other one. So he's come up from Bantam hockey, and he's in a real special situation. This isn't just coming up and taking over the 1978 or 79 Habs, where you've got experienced players who are really good. You're dealing with brand new players, trying to make them work together and figure it all out. And not to blame Marty, but maybe he just doesn't have the ability to. So what's he do? He turns back to his Tampa Bay days when he had LeCavalier and all these other great guys playing with him when they ended up winning a Stanley Cup in 2004. And he's saying, I'm going to run those systems. Maybe that's all he knows. And in that regard, that doesn't work maybe with new players. You got to have experienced players. And so maybe he's just not the right guy at the right time for this team. I'm not saying he couldn't coach another team with the way he coaches. He could, but just not this team right now. Do you think that's is that wrong, or?
Well, I mean, that's something that I'm sure is being considered by every Montreal Canadian fan, and I'm sure everybody is thinking that, including Marty. The one thing I will say is we do know something is definitely up with the defense, and something's got to shake out there. Now, the last goal of the game, I believe Lane Hudson was trying to score in the O-zone, lost the puck, and again, now Montreal are on their heels, because now we have a forward playing defense as the Kraken bring the puck up the ice, and they go to the net and they score, and Lane can't get back in time, and you saw his frustration because he couldn't even stop. He ran into one of the Kraken players, and then one of the Montreal players got upset because they knocked Lane for a little bit. It's like, I don't know how many great scoring opportunities I saw last night. Jack-Eye had a great opportunity to score. I mean, the puck was sitting almost on the goal line if it wasn't there.
Yeah.
You saw Logan Mailloux, I think, had at least 2 really great opportunities to score on net. Hudson, I think, hit a bar.
Yeah, Anderson was in one nice one.
Yes, but I mean, these are all defensive players that I'm talking about. Okay, these
Right.
are all defensemen who are in scoring chances, scoring opportunities. They're deep in the O zone. It's great if the puck goes in. If the puck doesn't go in now and you lose possession of the puck, you have a D man deep in the O zone, not in his D zone. And now you have to rely on one of your forwards trying to pick up the slack, playing defense. Do we have that kind of team? I don't know. There's a message that came up on your screen.
That doesn't mean anything.
So I don't.
Habs are going to lose next game.
I don't know if I don't think we are prepared for that, and I don't really. And I love the fact that Lane is so proficient in the O zone, but you got to get back and be playing defense if you're a defenseman, or else we have to say every line's got to have a very defensive forward on it, ready to drop back, but not just being responsible to go back, but knows how to play defense.
Yeah, knows how to play D, because these guys don't.
They don't. So, that to me is one of the most serious problems we have right now.
Yeah, he was -2 last night again.
And as soon as that happens, and we give up the puck, now we put ourselves in a position of weakness, and whoever we're playing now are just taking that puck up literally and heading to the net. So we've got to stop making mistakes. There was a goal too where Jack Guy had the puck behind the net, and he threw it behind the net. He was behind the red line, the goal line. He threw it behind the net, and a Kraken player picked it up, and it turned into a goal. We have to be more careful about getting the puck out of our D zone.
Is this a problem with the coaching or a problem with the players? That's my question.
I believe it's a problem with the coaching enforcing strategy with the players.
Yeah, they're not buying into it, do you think? Or is it just
I think that's just a bad mistake. So we've got a guy like Jack Eye. People, and there's this fine line of people going, is Jack Eye now, is he still a rookie? Or is he really a player? Is he is he a seasoned player? Before we would write, oh, well, he's still learning, where do you draw the line where it's like, no, you're screwing up. You're making bad mistakes. I cannot have you playing like that. There has to be a consequence.
Well,
that's where we're at with some of these players.
Yeah, the funny thing is he's 22 years old.
So
and defensemen take a little bit longer, and you got to give him a little bit of break. He seems like he's been there for a long time, and we depend on him.
We can say that about so many of our players.
Yeah, most of them.
And so at one point, that's fine. If we're going to take that strategy and that they're still developing, then nobody should be really upset with an 8-2 loss, because we're still in development mode with many of these players. But if we're not, then where are we?
Well, see, this is the problem. Everybody expected this year. The expectation was for it to be better than last year, and it doesn't look like it's going to be better than last year. And even Ken Hughes said the expectation is for us to progress this year. He didn't say where. He just said to progress. In other words, we're not coming in last or 28th. We want to be in the teens, maybe even battling for a wild card. But the way it looks right now, I don't know if we're going. I was hoping for at least a 500 season.
I think in progression, we're looking for people playing better, not making mistakes. When you lose 8-2, you've made 8 mistakes.
At least.
When you play a game and it's 2-2 and you go into overtime and then a shootout, well, you only made 2 mistakes. You know?
So I just got to think that I don't know. You can get rid of the whole team, but when we look at the lineup, we don't have that bad of players. These players are, some first round draft picks and that kind of thing. There's talent there, but for some reason, it's just not coming up to the surface here. We're not seeing it where we should. We got Cole Caulfield, who's got 9 goals, a goal a game, leading the NHL in goals, which is a good thing. And then we have Lane Hudson, who, who's learning the game, but he's still dynamic. And I mean, every time Hudson or Caulfield touch the puck, Habs fans have hope. But what about the rest of the team?
It's great to have hope, but hope doesn't get you anything.
Didn't get me a hot dog.
There's a lot of people who are hoping for a lot of things to happen. It's like we're hoping that Aaron Judge hits a home run, tonight. That type of thing. Hope doesn't get it done. So I think what Montreal has to do is they have to decide what they want to do. And as a team, they keep playing this game of being very offensive minded and we have other teams who are sitting back and they're waiting for us to make mistakes. And as soon as we do make a mistake, they capitalize on that mistake. They're looking for that advantage. As soon as they can say, oh, we've got a 3-on-2 advantage, let's go. And instead, we're not creating those types of advantages for ourselves. And that's what a group of players need a group of coaches to help them with.
I agree.
To execute a strategy and then perform it. And then of course everyone has to buy into it. And that strategy's got to be set up, and then you've got to stick with it and give it an opportunity to work. And maybe that's the phase we're going through with all these D-men playing so much offense, but I don't see it working.
Yeah, we're getting blown out too many times. I mean, Boston scored 6 on us. The Pens scored 6 on us. Rangers scored 7, and now Seattle 8.
And
so it's not getting easier.
And from a goaltending standpoint too, that's just not good for your mentality of turning around and scooping that puck out of the net.
Getting pulled every game isn't good.
It's no fun. Exactly, it's no fun. It's just not good for your psyche.
So over to the Blues game, we did win 5-2, and I thought the Blues were going to win, but Sammy laid down a nice 9:35. Habs went to work with goals from Evans, Doc, Newhook, Caulfield, and Armia. The first of the season for Evans, Doc, and Armia. So
yeah,
I was when I saw them play that,
and it's good for Newhook to get in there as well.
I was optimistic. I'm going, great. We got these guys on the board. They'll feel better. Caulfield and Caulfield scored a goal. Newhook scored a second. The rest were first-time scorers,
which is what you want. You want people to get off. Get the puck in the net. You can score. Off we go.
Yeah, we got one on the power play. Caulfield got his 7th at that point.
And Jake Evans really played a great 2 games.
He did. Jake Evans has been a beast. That's all I can say. Jake has been really good. We're still shy in the face-off circle. That causes us to have less possession, something that's been haunting us throughout the first 7 games. Jack, I checked back in for that game, which is good, and it's good to see the Sheriff back on the ice for that game. But I thought we played a really, really good game. Maybe the best game we played all season, all year so far.
It's the kind of game we need to have consistently.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good game by the Habs. I have nothing to complain about there. Everybody chipped in. Everybody had something to say about the game. Caulfield got a 7, and Sammy laid down a nice game.
Absolutely.
And then we move on to Philly. I thought the Habs would win this one. But once again, they played a great game throughout, although there was a lapse in the last few minutes that made it close, right? But really, most of the game, they dominated. I mean, Philly's not that good of a team, let's face it. And Mishkov, I mean, you never even heard his name. He's playing.
There you go. Right? So, Mishkov, and everybody, and everybody flip-flops. Like one day it's like, oh, we're so glad we have Dimi up. Then it's like, oh, why do we take Reinbacher? We should have taken Mishkov. Oh, yeah. And then, like you say, nobody hears Mishkov's name. So
he's on a bad team. What?
You can make excuses. I mean, back in the day, I worked, a number of years in retail. And, you can say, and you did as well, you work retail, and you can say, well, oh, we don't have any business today because it rained. Oh, we don't have any business today because it's too cold for people to go outside. Oh, we don't have any business today because they're digging a hole in the road. Like, you can make excuses for everything. You have to just go out and make it happen.
Right. And that's what they did those first 2 games. I was looking forward to playing Seattle. I thought we were going to beat Seattle. After those two wins?
I was totally looking forward to last night's game.
Me too.
I mean, can you imagine, like, last night, one of our good friends, Paul Brockwell,
oh boy,
big Montreal fan.
Oh, big Montreal fan.
And so he said to me a few weeks ago, he goes, John, I really should be watching the Montreal Canadiens every game.
Yeah.
He goes, what does Paul K. Lemire do? I go, he's got a package. He goes, what package does he have? I said, let me find out. And I
large package.
I call, yeah, no, I was talking about a different package.
Talking about hockey?
Hockey.
Oh, there you go.
And so I actually asked you what you subscribe to, and you told me Center Ice. So I told Mr. Brockwell, and off he went, and he got it.
All right.
And so I said, okay, Paul, so you've got Center Ice. That's great. How's it working out for you? Oh, it's great, but I can't put it on my TV. I go, what do you mean you can't put it on your TV? Well, I don't know what to do. I don't have like any cable stations, and I don't know how to get it from my phone onto my TV from an app standpoint. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. So I went over there last night, and it was kind of like being with my grandfather again,
Yeah. Well,
going through the stage of onboarding Center Ice onto a smart TV.
Yeah.
But by the time I got it on, we'd missed 2 minutes of the game. And the score was already 2-0.
Yeah. Well, if you blinked, you missed the goal.
It was like, what? After those two games, and then to turn on the TV 2 minutes, and the game is already 2-0.
I think they scored the first goal 45 seconds in.
I mean, as I started to text to you, pull the goalie, the third goal was in.
Yeah.
I couldn't keep up.
It was one of those games. Here, take the broom and just sweep it out of your system. Sweep it out of your.
I remember a while ago, Peter Gabriel released a record. I think it was his second album or third album, and they did a marketing campaign, and it was called "Expect the Unexpected." Yeah. And that's exactly how I feel about this Montreal Canadiens team. You don't know what to expect.
No. What team is going to show up?
I don't know what to expect from game to game. I mean, I watched Saturday night's game, and I was like, wow, they played a very solid game. Sunday's result, very encouraging.
Yes, especially on a back-to-back game. That was big.
And just what we called, Montebo, Primo Montebo. And then last night, okay, we're screen sharing, and we get the game on the big screen, and it's 2-0 already. It's expect the unexpected.
Did he cancel Center Ice and throw the TV in the garbage?
No, he wants to buy another TV though.
Well, he should buy another TV.
Doesn't really need one, but he'd like to have it in the pool room, and it's only 10 yards away, but you can also broadcast from your phone right onto the TV too. That's what we did. We're streaming.
Yeah, streaming it from the phone, right? I got a box, so I just
send right through the box. Yeah, he doesn't have that. He has an LG TV. Yeah, you can't load the Fibe app onto the LG TV. No. You can't use Google Play with LG TV anymore. So there's all these little nuances. And just like there's all these little nuances to the game that we watched last night. It's like, you possess the puck. As soon as you possess the puck, don't throw it away. Like, make sure when you throw that puck around the net, there's somebody on your team to get it.
They have to be more aware. They're sleepwalking.
You got to be responsible. You got to be in the game.
In the groove. Yeah, I agree with that. So back to Philly. CP held the fort. Right? Aiden Primo's
been playing fine.
And he dropped an 885. Nothing great, but the Flyer goalie was 833. So we were better. And, that game got out of hand in the last couple minutes. But like I say, that game could have been a losing game last year, but it wasn't this year. We ended up winning it. And we had Suzuki, Gallagher, CC, and Evans doing the honors. They got the 4 goals.
There you go.
And we won in regulation.
And Gallagher too hit a post last night. He could have had a goal yesterday.
Yeah, last night was a wacky game. I mean, we
had
can't get that far behind right away. It's just too much.
We actually had a decent first period from scoring opportunities, scoring chances. We just didn't convert.
No, too many posts and stuff. But overall, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. We're going to give that a meatloaf, and we got to take that broom, sweep that Seattle game away, forget about it. No use crying over spilt milk, and being better tomorrow when we play. Because tomorrow we end up playing Washington, and we should be able to beat Washington, right?
Well, we should have been able to beat the Kraken.
By cracky on the Kraken. But I think we're going to beat Washington. We got to play Washington, Pens, and Calgary. Now, Pens beat us. They scored 6 on us last time, but I think we're going to see a different game this time.
Although we are in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we're in Pittsburgh. Yep, we're in Pittsburgh and we're in Washington. But I think they can win both those games. And you know what? I got to get a pen here. Here we go. Because I got to write down your picks. You never gave me your picks for the Calgary game. You gave me your picks for Washington and Pens.
And I probably took Montreal for both games.
Yeah, you did. Win-win. And then your Calgary.
And I'll have to take a win for that game as well. Okay, so I'm a Canadiens fan. I think Montreal can win every game. and I really do. I really do.
That's a good thing.
I really do. Like so I've always cheered for my team. I'm never going to go against my team.
Well, I did. I say we're going to beat Washington. Then I said we're going to lose against Pens, lose against Calgary. Well, do you want to go any further? Because I call this the sad 7. Because the next 7 games, 6 of them are on the road.
Well, you know what? Again, it's like you got to play hockey, right? You got to play the games.
You got to play the game.
Half the games are at home. Half the games are on the road. You got to play the road games.
You got to win them.
You need to. You want to win them.
Well, sometimes teams play better on the road because at home there's a lot of pressure on them, especially in Montreal. They get out of there.
Again, it's like, oh well, it's it's a holiday in England, so people aren't shopping today. That
makes a big difference.
It's exactly. You can make an excuse for everything. These Montreal players, they try to build this culture. We talked a lot about culture. Well, now, if there isn't a team meeting today by Susie, that's a problem. Okay?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm gonna call out. If there isn't a team meeting by Susie today where he takes all those players and it's just them, no coaches, nobody else, that's a problem. Because that's the kind of culture you want to build now, saying we got to look inside ourselves, look at each other and say, listen, are you going to be there? Are
you buying into this?
Are you coming? Are you going to be there when I need you there?
That's right.
Are you going to help? Are you going to try harder?
Yes.
There you go.
I'm gonna.
I know you are. That's why I'm here. And that's what Susie's got to do.
Exactly.
That's what Susie's got to do. That's what a captain does.
Now, do you want to pick any further than that? That's a good rah-rah. You're like Tim Waltz. You got that coach, rah-rah coach.
Tim Waltz, who's that?
Some bum from Minnesota.
Oh, I'm like a bum from Minnesota. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, except you're not a bum, right?
And I'm not from Minnesota either.
No, that's for sure. Thank God. So do you want to pick any more, or have you had enough for these next 3 games?
I mean, or do you want to wait till they play? No, let's look at it realistically. So the Devils have a pretty half-decent team.
Oh, right? Yeah, they got a good team. So Kovacevic is doing really good on that team.
So we may lose that game.
Do you want to call it a loss?
I don't want to call any of the games. I'm not going to call any games a loss that Montreal play. I will say that's a possibility of losing.
Okay.
The Leafs game, we're going to win.
Leafs, we're going to win. Okay.
Because we beat the Leafs, and then we play the Sabres on Remembrance Day.
Yes.
In Buffalo at 1:00. I think we're going to win that game.
You're going to win that game? Okay.
And you know what? I so hope that they play number 55 that night.
Who's number 55? For the Sabres? Or
for the Canadiens.
Number 55.
Pezzetta.
Oh, Pezzetta.
I so hope they
Ugh.
play Pizzetta because he plays well in that building.
Oh, he did. Remember, he got the overtime winner.
I was there.
He was on his stick.
Yes,
doing
I was there for
the
that.
Tiger Williams ride.
And then we play the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're doing.
Well, it's in Minnesota. Tim Waltz is going to be there.
Oh, well, he's going to be the stick boy, I guess.
Yeah, well, he won't have anything.
That's what I mean. He'll be the stick boy.
He won't have anything to do because he won't be a vice president and he won't be senator anymore.
So I'd like to see us beat Minnesota as well.
Boy, they're tough. I called it. I think we're going to lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the 7 games.
You think we're going to have a 6-game losing streak?
Yeah.
Well, how are we going to make the playoffs?
Well, we're not. That's the whole point of it.
But you told me at the beginning of the season we were.
Until the season started, I was very confident. Now we're under 500.
So you would call those games differently?
Yeah, I'm thinking we're going to beat Washington, but the Pens, Calgary, Devils, Leafs, Sabres, who are got a heck of a team this year, and Minnesota. I think we're going to have a tough time with every one of those. Maybe we'll win one.
You know
I can't even pick out which one will win. The team I've seen in the first 9 games here. I think we'll be Columbus the next game.
Listen, we're in the NHL.
Are we?
Expect the unexpected.
Okay.
Anything can happen. But I'm serious. It's right now in the NFL, right? Yeah. In the NFL, I think this week, I don't know, most of the games were only decided by 5 or less points. Very competitive. Very competitive. I feel it's the same deal. It's a very competitive league. So if you're not prepared every day to play your best and be your best, you expect to lose.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm doing.
Expect to lose. And that's why I'm saying
I'm not mad about it.
It's time for the team to look into themselves and say, we can't blame MSL. We can't blame this. We can't blame injuries. We can't have all these excuses. We got to look into ourselves and say, how can we play better to make collectively a better performance?
Well, I agree.
That's got to happen.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But you're saying they're going to beat Calgary, Leafs, and Sabres. What about Minnesota?
They got to beat Minnesota too.
They're going to beat Minnesota. What about Columbus?
They got to beat everybody.
Well, I think they can.
They have to beat.
Okay, Oilers.
Everybody.
You think they're going to beat the Oilers?
The Oilers right now are in disarray.
They're at home,
aren't they?
They're in
Edmonton or in Montreal.
Yeah, and McDavid is out, and the Oilers are having a problem there.
So we're going to beat the Oilers.
Yeah, we're going to beat the Oilers too. In Vegas.
And we're going to beat Vegas. They beat us recently.
Yeah, they're at our house.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, these guys have got it. These guys have to step up. The defensemen have to be way more responsible about taking chances. It's got to be a measured chance. You can't expect that every time you get the puck, you're going to score a goal. But if you see an opening, it's much like a quarterback, like a Patrick Mahomes is a perfect example. He goes out and his job is to complete a pass. But if he sees a lane and he knows from experience that lane is going to be open, he's going to take that lane. And I got no problem with Jack Guy going to that net and having that puck right on the goal line. I got no problem with Lane Hudson taking that shot off the crossbar. But don't push your luck.
Yeah, and that's all good philosophy.
That's right.
It's all very good philosophy.
You need to execute it now, though.
But you don't win on philosophy.
Absolutely.
You win on execution, and we haven't seen that.
But you know what? If
you're thinking there's going to be a big turnaround in execution in the next few games.
You know what? Again, we're talking about guys who, they're young. They're 22. But they've played in the NHL now for 3 years.
I know.
So now you have to dig deep.
So what happened last night?
Last night.
Philosophy's there.
You know what? Last night, I don't think anybody was ready to play hockey.
Didn't look like it to me.
Last night looked like a pickup game on Thursday night at the Niagara Falls Arena in 1974.
Now, Seattle was out in Montreal having a good time, just like the Rangers were.
I don't blame them.
They came up. Rangers came up with 7 goals, and Seattle came up with 8. So they must have had a better time.
All I know is that you've got to realize you've got to demand more from your player, yourself, when you're playing professional sports.
Well, you have to.
But the other thing and this is a game played by humans. So we look at this game and we look at it on paper and we say, well, this guy should be performing like this. He has a ceiling of that.
Yeah.
We look at all these different aspects. We say, oh, this prospect, he was taken 5th overall in the draft. He should be this type of a player, yada, yada. We add all that stuff up. When it comes down to it, it's human beings playing hockey.
The funny thing is, we've said, all we talked about was defense. We got this defenseman, that. We're overloaded on defensemen, so we get rid of Kovacevic. He went to New Jersey. And now we're having trouble with our defense. Could it be that maybe these players who we thought were this good, maybe just aren't that good?
Well, it's also...
Could that be?
It could be. And it also comes down to your strategy for your game plan. So like you say, one of the weaknesses, we know we have a better power play so far. So good. Right? Knock on wood. We think
it's better than it was last year.
Goaltending seems to be adequate. At one point we thought it was even a little better.
It's hot and cold.
For myself, I got a guy named Cole Caulfield who is playing way over my expectation.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm so glad for him.
Yes.
I am so pleased for him. He is the real shining light so far this year. Slafkovsky had an upper body injury. They gave him a week to recover. I haven't seen anything from Slafkovsky like I saw at the end of last season.
No.
So I don't know where he's at. Alex Newhook is performing, but he's not finishing. Newhook had a breakaway last night as well.
Yep.
But he's not finishing. We can go on and on about individual performers and individual players, but the team as a whole just aren't clicking. And that's where the team themselves have to dig deep and try to figure out why aren't we clicking? Because we all think this is the greatest place to play hockey. We all think we're on this great team. We all think we're a part of this great rebuild. We even have a series about our team being rebuilt, which I have yet to watch an episode of.
I don't want to.
Exactly. I don't want to.
I don't care.
Because show me, don't tell me.
Yeah.
Show me what you're doing. Don't tell me about your rebuild. Show me.
Why isn't it working? See, this is the thing that
like too much marketing. Too much marketing.
A lot of marketing.
Like that whole thing with, here's our team, our elite team from 1975 to 1979. Beautiful. But that's not what I want to see. It's great to, I want to see that on a highlight reel. Today, I want to see a hockey game that we win. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, and I got to think one of two ways. We've got the talent; it's not being used right, or we don't have the talent, so you can't use it right,
or it hasn't been developed.
Right. So if it hasn't been developed, then you got to look to the coaching. If they just aren't that talented, and we thought they were, then you got to find somebody who can bring the talent out if there is any. But I don't think that's the case, though, John. I think we have talent.
What always crosses my mind is during exhibition, I would see roster lists. And so you'd see Montreal playing Toronto, and they would pick a team of 20 players, to play the 20 players that Toronto picked. And then we'd have a list of players that were not playing in the game. And we'd always have maybe twice as many players on our list as the opponent. Maybe we have too much depth. I know we've talked about how great it is to have depth, but all this depth that we have is younger talent that needs to be developed. And maybe we just do not have the resources to develop that much talent.
That could be. That could be. I mean,
And that crosses my mind at least once a week.
yeah. I don't know the answer to that one because the only way you're going to develop them is in Laval, but we brought a lot of them up, and maybe they're brought up prematurely.
But think about the fact that, I mean, we got Owen Beck in Laval.
Yeah.
We have
Massar.
Wah.
Who else we got down there? I don't know.
We just sent another guy down recently. We got
Wah.
Yes,
Wah's down there.
Wah's down there as well. We got Harvey Picard.
Yep. He's out.
He's
injured.
Out. But
HP, he's going to be coming back.
You know, we got a guy named Reinbacher at one point who is out.
He's injured.
We still got a guy named Lene who everybody thought was going to be our superstar.
Well, that's some good news. He's going to come back early.
Who is out?
Lene, I think he's coming back sooner than later. That might help.
Well, it better help.
Because, I mean, but St. Louis had to juggle the lines, though. He's got Doc up on the first line.
That's a responsibility of a coach.
Who's this? This phone's ringing.
That's the responsibility of a coach.
Yes.
So that's what he's supposed to be able to do.
It's probably Brockwell.
Juggle lines. No, I don't think so. So there's so many different things to speak about.
But I don't know if I agree with putting Slafkovsky back on the second line rather than putting him back on the first line where he was and putting Doc back where he was. I don't know what that move was. I mean, he left Doc up on the first line where Slafkovsky's supposed to be. Like, I don't know. I just don't like that. I think Doc should be where he was.
I mean, we have ABB, Alex Barry-Boulet, who is in Laval now, and he's still determined to come back. I like that attitude, but it's like, you got to show me, don't tell me.
Yeah, well, we got to get rid of people.
We have exactly. So we need to say, okay, hypothetically, if you had 5 pieces of talent and you can really only have the resources to develop 3 of them, you got to lose 2.
Yeah. Well, I think Anderson, Dvorak,
and
Armia.
But when you lose those 2, that means you've got to make choices. And that is where we are at. We have to make some tough choices as we go forward, and there will be mistakes. And people must realize that's going to happen. Like, who do you spend the time on? Who do you say, you know what? We drafted you, but you're no longer in our plans.
Well, that's one thing.
When do you let go of a Wah or a Harvey Picard because you've got a guy named the guy they drafted from the Chicago area Hage. You've got a guy named Hage who you think is a better talent. All these things have to be taken care of as well.
Well, and we also got to get rid of Dvorak, Anderson. I don't want to get rid of Evans, Armia, and there's one more player there that I'd like to see on another team or get out of there or be sent down on waivers. And if somebody picks them up, they pick them up. I mean, I think we got to move some players and bring some of these other guys up. I mean, if we're not going to do good with these guys, they're not doing anything, then let's get rid of them and give our younger guys a chance to come up and play. Because either way, we're not making the playoffs, and we're not going to be in really good shape other than for a draft pick. So let's bring these guys up and let them play, develop them. Right? I mean, it's no loss.
Absolutely.
Send Anderson down. What's he doing here? Nothing. He skates around like a madman and does absolutely nothing. So eventually, we've got to face this. I think Dvorak's in the last year of his contract. Same with Armia, I think. Or did he get signed again? I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But anyway, we got to move some bodies, I think. I think we got to move some bodies. And like Armia, we threw him down last year. He came back and scored 20 goals or 19 goals. I mean, there's got to be messages sent by Marty St. Louis that your performance matters. And if you don't perform, there's not a place for you on that bench because there's young guys who can come up and perform.
And you've got to take a guy like Kapanen.
Yeah, and Heineman. They're good.
And give them opportunity to play.
Exactly. I mean, it's just a matter of what he's going to do. We don't know. We'll watch. But the sad 7 is coming up, and it will be sad if we lose all 7. And I just don't see a path for them to beating any of these teams. They're better, except Columbus and Washington. They're both sad sack teams. I think we can beat them. But even the Oilers, on their worst day, if Montreal plays like they have been, they're gonna beat Montreal. I mean, these games are gonna be tough, and I don't know if Montreal's up to it. I don't know what team. If you can tell me the team that's going to show up, I can tell you who's going to win. But if you don't tell me what team is going to show up, I can't tell you who's going to win.
And that's what I mean by saying expect the unexpected,
Yeah.
because we don't know what to expect anymore. At least last year we kind of knew what to expect.
Yeah, they're going to lose.
Or but
Great
now,
expectations. Didn't we read that book in high school?
Yeah, we absolutely
we did.
And now I'm looking at Jack Guy,
microphone.
Jack Guy yesterday.
Yeah,
he didn't record a shot on goal, yet he had one of the best scoring opportunities.
Yes.
So again, you've got to be very careful the way you look at stats. And
even Pizzetta, I'd send him down. What's Pizzetta done?
Pizzetta, though, hasn't played a lot of hockey.
Yeah, well, send him down and let him play in Laval. They need him there, and give somebody else a chance up or whatever.
Well, but like I say, the problem is Pizzetta sat probably half the time in the box, so it wouldn't really matter if you send him down. Whoever you're sending up is going to probably spend the time in the box. It don't matter. So that's not the solution either.
Yeah, well, if we get rid of other players, it is.
It is.
Yeah, we get rid of Armia and Dvorak. We got to start getting people in. Either we're going to get people in who know how to play hockey, they can play, and they can perform, or we might as well just get rid of these guys and bring up our young guys and let them go and say, this is the 5th year or whatever it is of the rebuild. We're going to take another 5, 2030. We're going to win the Stanley Cup. They got to decide what they're going to do with these guys. They can't just stick around here anymore.
And I'll go back to culture again, because, we've spoken a lot about it on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And last week after our show, I believe I went onto a Canadians feed or whatever, and I saw a picture of most of the team dressed up for Halloween, I think last Wednesday.
Were they dressed up as hockey players?
No, okay. No. Halloween, they could have all been dressed up because it's like imaginary characters that you generally dress up as on Halloween. But it's like that was Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. That's like a week ago. Halloween is tomorrow.
Yes.
Where is your focus?
Halloween.
You're men. Seriously? You gotta have a Halloween party? I mean, come on, man. You want to get your kids all together today or tomorrow? Maybe today, because you're going to be out of town tomorrow. So you want to get all your kids today and have a little Halloween party and let all the kids dress up? I have no problem with that.
Yeah, well, if we were 8-0, I wouldn't.
If you're 8-0, I've got no problem. You can do whatever you want to do. Yeah. You can go golfing at 7 a.m. I don't give a rat's ass. But if you're not winning hockey games, let's focus here. And that's what I mean about we have this great marketing machine. Marketing means nothing if you don't have the product. If you don't have the goods. The legitimate goods.
It just makes people mad, to be honest. I mean, they saw the winning team 4 Stanley Cups in a row, and then we get shellacked by Rangers 7-2 or whatever.
You tell people you've got the best Beatles box set, in your store, and they come in and you're sold out. They go, "This store sucks."
Yeah, that's right.
It's the same deal. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's terrible. Le Toisitoile de la Semaine Dernière. Were there any bright spots for you in this last week?
The brightest spot, and I've been reluctant to recognize it because I didn't know if it was really real. And now if I say it, I'm afraid that it will go away, is Cole Caulfield.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I got him.
Mean, he does every game. He's there. Every game. There was an opportunity last night in the first period that Brendan Gallagher had. and the puck came off. It was a rebound off the goaltender, and Gallagher was probably he was probably inside the faceoff circle. By the time he got the puck, he shot it, and I think he might have hit a post. Okay, but he didn't convert. A couple minutes later, Caulfield was in exactly the same situation, but he was in deeper. He was between that circle and the goalie crease, and as soon as that puck came on his stick, it was in the net. So Caulfield is playing up to an amazing level.
Yeah, he was.
He really
is. I think fans are proud of him. I mean, he's got a goal a game here and leading the NHL in goals scored with another guy, Nicenov or something.
But he continues to shine.
Less games.
No matter what happens, he continues to shine for the team.
Number 2, the deuxième étoile.
Jake Evans played a really great couple of games. He played a decent first period last night. I think Jake Evans has done extremely well, and we need more performances and more efforts like Jake Evans from the entire group.
Yep, I agree with that.
And if we get those kind of efforts, I think we can win.
And number 3, the troisième étoile.
The troisième étoile,
the third star,
goes to one of our dear friends.
Paul Brockwell?
Drew Deeks.
Drew Deeks. Yeah, that was a sad thing. He said he's going to take a break from it.
He's decided to step away for a while. We wish Drew. I mean, Drew is a friend of HABSOLUTELY.
Oh yeah,
Un ami de HABSOLUTELY.
We wish he was here. Wishing you were here.
We wish you were here.
Yeah.
And you're welcome anytime to drop in.
Yeah, he knows
if you have that opportunity. We wish you all the best, though. We know we just want to let you know that we're thinking of you and you're in our hearts.
You're the third star
and our thoughts
of the week.
Judy.
And when I saw that, I was a little bit sad because he is good.
He's very good.
He's very good, and he's
passionate.
He's professional. He's passionate.
Not only he's passionate, he loves the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
He wears their heart on his sleeve. He is a true Habs fan.
And you know what? I'm making a prediction right now. He'll be back. He'll be back. This is something you just don't give up.
You know what?
I think he'll be back. Hopefully sooner than later. But I know he'll be back. He's just too good not to be back.
I'm hoping we can say the same about the Montreal Canadiens.
I think we'll be back.
I hope they're going to be back. I'd like to make a prediction that the Montreal Canadiens are going to be back.
Okay, well, there you go. I'm happy. My 3 stars were Cole Caulfield, continuing to make Habs fans proud game after game. Lane Hudson, man, if there are 2 bright spots on the team and make these ugly games, even these ugly games, fun to watch, it's when Cole and Hudson are on the ice. And I just love watching them. I mean, they're my highlights. Even on a bad game, I look and I watch the stuff that Hudson does. And I know that once he really gets used to the NHL and the way the game's played in the NHL.
Lane Hudson is electrifying.
Oh, he is. He's fantastic.
But somebody needs to remind him there's a D after his name.
And I think he'll learn that. I think he's going to learn that.
Okay.
Now, Bobby Orr did the same thing. He was always in that, right?
But you know what? Bobby Orr was a D first. And then he put the puck in the net.
Yeah, and then he won the scoring title one year.
Exactly.
So Hudson's going to learn that. I think he will learn that.
You know what? Kudos to you to bring that up.
Oh, thanks.
Seriously. Because you know what? Somebody should be, like in Montreal right now, putting a game film together of Bobby Orr and giving it to Lane Hudson to watch.
Because we know he's got the talent.
That's brilliant. It seriously is.
Yeah, we know he's got the talent.
Yeah, that would be a great role model for Lane Hudson.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
He's got that talent. Now he's just got to understand how to work it into the NHL.
Because Bobby Orr was always a defenseman.
Yes.
And then he grew to be an amazing goal scorer.
Yep, and Hudson might go at it backwards, but he's going to be there. I think he's going to be there. And my third was Logan Mailloux. I mean, I'm glad to see the kid up. He's playing good. He's learning, and he's looking comfortable out there. And I think he's going to be a big part of the future. So he's always in on the play, it seems.
Make 2 of those tapes. Give one to Logan as well.
There you go. that would be good. And I'm going to give honorable mention too, like you said, Jake Evans. I mean, this guy skates his heart out. Notched 2 and 3 these 3 games. He's got 3 goals for the year. On the what is he on the 4th line? I think.
Yeah, and he tries every time. He gives 110.
He's another guy when he's out on the ice. You think, hey, he might get a shorty. He might get a goal on his when his line's out there. And I just like the guy, and he's the heart. He's a heart guy like Gallagher, and they're the kind of guys that we like to see on the team, right?
He's giving 110, and and that's what you want from somebody. You can't ask for anything more.
Nope, I think he's a good role model for everybody. You got anything else, Johnny? Because it's time to get out of here.
I think, you know what, the weather's so nice. It's like let's go and enjoy it.
Yeah, I agree 100%
because last night, I mean, I did my good deed. I helped a senior citizen hook their television up, and now it's time for me to enjoy the day.
And that's we're talking about Paul Brockwell, if you don't know. Anyway, we got to get out of here. My name is Paul Killamere.
Bonjour, mon ami. Je suis Jean-Louis Filion.
And we are getting out of here. Stay tuned for the Habs games. We got 3 games before the next show next week at noon, and we'll be talking about them. And John thinks they're going to win all 3. I'm not as optimistic. We'll see how it all plays out. What do you think out there? Give us comments. Subscribe to our channel.
Like the show.
Like or not like. Call us idiots. Call us morons. I get called that a lot, by the way.
You get called what?
Idiot, moron, a Leaf fan. Really, I'm an undercover Leaf fan. Oh yeah, I get called everything by people. But at the end of the day, I'm a big Habs fan.
Well, you tell Kamala she doesn't know anything about hockey.
Well, you know what? People have to understand that. There's a difference between being a Habs fan and just saying they're going to win every game, and being a Habs fan who is realistic about the situation they're in. So that's why we get along so well, because there's one guy who's me, and there's one guy who keeps everybody positive, whereas I get too upset about stuff and all that. But we're still Habs fans, and we love all the Habs fans, and we love each other. Habs Nation. We're out of here. Have a great day, everybody.
Ciao, ciao.
We'll see you next week at noon on Habsolutely 4680Q Radio in downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. See you later. Bye.